As always, let me explain what I've done last 2 weeks. So visually, nothing has really changed. In fact, or I've been working on adding street mesh. So this long black rectangle meant to be a street. But since I haven't had Terran system, which you'd have on famous game engines like Unreal or Unity, I don't have this system, and also simultaneously I'm having depth issue, and when this combines, I've been trying to find most standard way to go about, but yeah, like whether I should just remove this flat big ground in gray and make world by step adding streets, sidewalks, and buildings. But since if I have these two floors, I mean, if I have this floor and sidewalk, and if I place this mesh, agent mesh on top of, so that it would be right on top of this street, there would be a gap between this gray floor and the agent. As you can see, there is a gap, and like I just don't like. I kind of understood how the standard way. What is the standard way to go about? But yeah, so yeah, this is pretty much it for the visual. So first, I've changed how fast he runs. Previously, whenever he chooses action run, he would moves. He would move 2 units, but now I changed to 2.7 to make it more real. I did some rough calculation based on how things work in real life, and yeah, I think it, it got better now, I guess. So the states I have related to time are time of the day and days past now, but I had states called days lived, but this gets so big, which leads to huge loss, which leads to bad action choices. The reason this gets big is that I was calculating this in seconds. So if I let the program run for, let's say, for an hour, it just gets so big. And normally you'd want values for the states to be normalized, like typically like you would do for general neural network tasks, like when like you have x and y data sets and should be normalized. Yeah, same goes for states used in reinforcement learning, I guess. So I might have to normalize temperature and weight as well, but this haven't been really influencing in bad ways. So yeah, in order for me to reduce the observation time to check whether he's doing fine, meaning surviving, I don't really want to wait a day or I don't know, a few days to check that I reduced. I mean, I make time in game passes faster so that 24 minutes in real time is 1 day in game time. I went to this concept in previous video, but maybe I might make it shorter to 12 minutes, but I'm not really sure. So in the previous video, I had either pond or lake looking what water bodies in the previous video, somewhere around here. But since, like I've previously mentioned, I don't have Terran system, and also dealing with collision with these pond or lake is so cumbersome. Um, you know, at least for now, I just turn water bodies I had into just water cubes like I have now. It's not cubes, but yeah, simpler geometries I can deal with easier. So I've created areas where each resource are clustered to make it more realistic. Seems like in real nature, resources are clustered rather than randomly scattered, like I used to do in previous videos. So yeah, now the resources are closed together. So now if he has healthy sleeping schedule, he'll get positive reward by sleeping between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Otherwise, he gets negative reward. Same goes for walk and run. If he's running or walking at midnight, considered unhealthy and gets negative reward. I've got this time of day previously mentioned. This would start from, it used to start from 0, but now it starts from 0.25, which is normalized version of 6 a.m. This is by dividing 6 by 24 and you get 0.25. The reason I'm doing this is that I want the world to have I don't really know how to say, but I want the world to have morning, noon, daytime, night scenes. So whenever it is like whenever the time of day is 0.9, the background should be darker, unlike now. Now the background this resembles it's at daytime or mornings. And yeah, I want the world to look like more realistic. So, and if the time of the day starts from 6 a.m., whenever I run the program, the background would be brighter, like as it is now. And I guess it would look nice. So I've got actions rotate left and right, which used to turn the agent 90 degrees to left or right, but again it was unrealistic. So I reduced rotation speed per action to 0.5 degree. So it he doesn't only so before he would only face 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and 360 degrees. There are no variations. Now he rotates 0 to 360 degrees, which makes it more realistic. And I've also added, so because of this, direction states has added. So now he's got direction as a state, and I'm pretty sure this would be really useful later on. I used to have an enum called direction contains north, south, west, and what east, which which would be used inside here, but because of this new system, I removed it. I've started to normalize the reward by dividing by 100. I used to assign, just row values like 2, 10, 20, 100. Before neural network training seems like normalizing anything related to neural network seems like you should normalize values. I'm not really sure, but so if any of these conditions are met, the episode would end. And if the episode ends, this code would gets run, and one of them is updating epsilon, and this would just reduce the epsilon by multiplying epsilon decay. So it just means reducing the epsilon. But I used to have this line of code around here which makes it reducing epsilon every frame. It seems like every episode is more correct. So yeah, just updating epsilon every episode now. And I also call this reset function, which would just return new states for beginning of the new episode. But I forgot to reset to default values, which I set it here. So yeah, otherwise new episode would inherit previous states, and I think that's not really good. Maybe you could try not resetting, but generally you'd want to reset it every episode. Yeah. Well, as you can see, I've got 8 resources, 5 food, 3 water, and each resources affect states differently. So this would reduce thirst larger than water 3. It just means water 1 has bigger volume, and same for the food. This is much bigger food than food 5, and this would reduce hunger much more. It's just trivial stuff, I guess. And so, yeah, since each resources affect differently, I have different size for resources. This is also trivial stuff. So this file used to be pretty cluttered by so his eyes are rendered using simple planes, but I used to had planes just for his eyes, even though I could create eyes using this one. So yeah, I removed that the the one only used for the eyes and unified into single plane vertices. And I think same goes for box vertices. I used to had vertices that was used for making this floor. So I removed that one and unified and just using single box vertices. And yeah, this is much cleaner, I guess. I've improved the how bounding box gets updated, but I pretty much forgot how this works. I did some comments, but yeah. Anyways, it just works. Um, it was done incorrectly before, but now it's correctly updated. Now the word size has increased from 500 by 500 to 9,000 by 9,000. I don't know how. Uh, the reason I chose 9,000 is that once it um, once I choose bigger than 10,000, I would experience Z fighting and depth issue. So I just minimized to 9,000 so that it wouldn't go beyond 10,000. And I don't really know how big I should make this world, but I think I wouldn't. I think it's pretty common to have few or many levels size of less than 10,000 and yeah, and use these levels, but I think I only need one level, which is this one, and not really sure if I need the world to be this big, but it feels good to have big bigger world. His eyes looks weird. The reason is that I've added horizontally long lanes to make it look like he's sleeping. But since currently he's choosing uh, actions randomly, pretty much. So whenever he chooses actions other than sleep, set eyes awake gets called, which toggles left and right eye to be visual. And if the sleep action was chosen, this asleep set eyes asleep function gets called, which would just do the opposite of these functions. And currently, he more explore than exploits because of how Epsilon gets updated. Most of the time, he would choose this condition in beginning of the training phase. So he's just randomly choosing these actions for now. So that's why he's opening his eyes and closing interchangeably rapidly. So, but after I trained the agent successfully, I hope the eyes wouldn't weird like now. And I also added mouth. One of the big goal for this agent is to able to speak, and whenever he now I haven't implemented yet, but whenever he choose his speak action, I'm planning to maybe make rectangle plane and hide this horizontally long mouth. I'm not able to show you, but now whenever he gets collided with predator, he gets turned into red. I think I'm planning to remove this predator, but he would collide it with like cars and he gets damaged and maybe, but even though I'll remove the predator, if he turns into red when he gets damaged, I think it's pretty nice. Again, I'm not able to show you that, but oh yeah, I changed the color of the floor so that it would look like some kind of concrete floor. So I guess this is it for today's video, and the top priority task I need to do now is make him get close to either of these resources and collide with them and reduce thirst, hunger, and gain energy to survive. But like I said, he more explores than exploits. He's just choosing actions randomly. Is nowhere near to get close to these resources. So one of my plan is to um, add resource position, add resource positions as new states, and inside the step function, whenever his positions gets closer to either of these resource positions, he gets reward, so that I I encourage him to get closer to resources. But yeah, I think I'm pretty scared if things wouldn't work. So yeah, I'm scared if things not if things isn't I wouldn't want work. I guess that's the reason I'm not trying, or I've been finding other tasks to do. But yeah. Anyways, I hope by the next video I made it. I made this agent to collide with resources. And yeah, as always, thanks for the sticking to the end of the video, and thanks for all the likes and comments. I really appreciate it. And yeah, until the next video. Yeah, thanks. See you.